For centuries, Britain's Parliament has had the power to change its citizens' lives. The economy was run on slave labour until the House of Commons put a stop to the trade 200 years ago. Parliament transformed ordinary people's lives by introducing old age pensions and later the NHS. In moments of crisis, politicians showed bold leadership. But by 2010, it became clear that Britain and the world were on the brink of great danger. Parliament had committed the UK to a world-leading cut in carbon emissions, but experts said the government wasn't doing enough to make these targets a reality. MPs realised that this was their opportunity to change history. In the following decade, they helped to spur on a second industrial revolution, this time in clean technology. They created green jobs and warm homes, and the UK became the first country to show that a low-carbon society could flourish. But the year is still 2010, and the future is yet to be decided. Politicians are about to embark on one of the most important terms that MPs have ever faced. The choices they make will affect the lives not only of current British citizens, but of their children and grandchildren and some of the poorest people around the world. So what must politicians do to put the UK on track for a low-carbon future? A panel of experts has got together to answer this question. Combining their knowledge from the fields of climate science, energy, politics, finance, and international development, they have come up with some top priorities for action in the next Parliament.
The next Parliament really is the last Parliament to do what needs to be done now, and that's to legislate for the low-carbon economy that this country so urgently needs. It is important to stress that urgency. We've got a fantastic foundation here in the UK. No other country's got the equivalent of our Climate Change Act, and all the political parties came together to put that together. But they willed the end, if you like, the destination, but they didn't will the means, and that's what has to happen now.
By this time, it is beyond doubt that we are changing the climate. The carbon dioxide we're putting up by burning fossil fuels, 1 million years worth of fossil fuels each year, is thickening the greenhouse gas blanket, and it's causing change in the climate which is going to be increasingly serious for us.
We face an imperative to shift from a high to low carbon economy. We have no option but to go down that route. But in the transformation that we must make, there is huge opportunity, and that opportunity is associated with the scale of the problem.
Over half of our electricity generation plant needs replacing in the next 12 years. A lot of our infrastructure is old and needs modernising. So we've got a chance to put in place a smart, modern, low-carbon energy mix for the future.
30 million houses by 2020 in Germany will have lower carbon emissions and lower bills as a result of a really ambitious energy efficiency programme. We need that kind of ambition, that kind of transformation in the UK, and to start it right at the beginning of the next Parliament.
For the poorest countries, it's really important that the money starts to flow for adaptation in those countries so that they can cope with these extreme difficulties that climate change is putting them in.
Parliament have to take urgent action. Firstly, to ensure this investment takes place, they need to create consistent, transparent incentives for investment. Business is ready to make that investment, but it needs that framework.
Very large amounts of capital need to be deployed all over the world in a relatively short period of time. An institution wholly dedicated to that, a sustainable investment bank, for example, would assist in the accumulation and direction of capital flows.
The next Parliament can leave the legacy of really making sure that our Earth is stable, but also that we have taken our responsibility as far as the poorest people in the world are concerned.
It is so important that the next Parliament really engages this issue to give us a chance of holding the rise in temperature within tolerable limits.
We feel this is very doable. It's exactly the kind of thing that parliamentarians can get together and make happen. It's aspirational, it's what people in this country want. It builds the foundations for a prosperous, low-carbon economy.
MPs in the next Parliament have a choice. If they fail to take this opportunity, they may go down in history as villains who understood the risks but did nothing. But if they rise to the challenge, they will be remembered alongside history's greatest heroes.